Welcome to the IWO show, aka the Impact Wrestling Observer. I am your host, Smart Mark, and this is your report for December 22nd, 2011. Almost Christmas time, so I definitely want to say happy holidays to you and your families. Tonight's show started out with Bobby Roode and Bully Ray cutting a promo in the ring, and they call out Sting. Hardy comes out first. They have a little verbal back and forth where Hardy's accused of not having any friends. Sting comes out because he's his friend. And this sets up the main event, a street fight tag team match between Roode and Bully Ray and Hardy and Sting. Then in the continuation of the mix and match tag team tournament, we had Kaz and AJ. Wow, that was a shocker and a stretch putting those two guys together. And they beat Christopher Daniels and Rob Van Dam, two guys who happen to be feuding right now. As soon as I saw it was Kaz and AJ, I was like, oh, they're probably going to win. It makes sense. I think Kaz and AJ could be a good tag team for the next year, you know. So hopefully they get a taste of success in this tournament, but don't quite win it all, and they actually stay together as a tag team and join the ranks. The match basically, you know, wasn't bad because it also propelled Daniels against RVD. Looks like they're going to be setting up another match for those two at Genesis. Then we get the next round, best 2 out of 3 between Anthony Nese and Zema Ion. Nese got a little more mic time before the match and whatnot, so that was good. Ion, they just kind of showed his promo from last week again, but put on a pretty decent little match. Zema Ion went back to do kind of the same thing he did last week, where he went for the pin, looked like he had him beat, then pulls him up. Nese ain't going to let it go down like that again. When Ion comes back to do the next move, Nese gets him rolled up for the win. So we're tied 1-1 in that tournament, our best of 3 series. So I imagine Zema Ion will win next week, but we'll see. Then we get a Madison Rayne promo. Some more great Madison Rayne mic work, where she reveals that she's in charge and she's going to change everything tonight. So then we get another promo. But this one was actually pretty good. You had Pope doing some pretty good mic work in the backstage, talking about how he took Devon's kids and whatnot, aka Team Double Trouble now, I guess. So, you know, Pope's back there shooting his mouth off, and then Devon comes and confronts him. Then one of the sons hits Devon with a chair from behind. Yeah, setting up, obviously, a Devon-Pope match at Genesis, and wasn't too long. Most of the work was done by the Pope, so not a bad promo, not a bad spot. Then we get ODB and Eric Young out on a date. It had its funny moments. Making a prediction. ODB and Eric Young could maybe unify the men's and women's tag team titles. I'm just saying it'd be pretty. There's something you could do there, and I like ODB, so fuck it. Then we get Madison Rayne comes out and calls out Tara and Miss Tessmacher, Team TNT, and she tells them that they have to fight each other, so they start out kind of joking around, hamming it up. It was fairly humorous, but really the segment in general went a little bit long, leading to the inevitable moment when they decided to stop fighting each other, and they both hit Madison Rayne. She says she's going to fire him next week or something like that. My guess is that, because also, one thing to say is today Taz were saying that they didn't know who was going to take Karen Jarrett's place. So the fact that it was Madison was news to them, and I have a feeling next week she's going to come out and try to fire TNT, and somebody's going to come out and tell her that she's not the boss. Watch for Tracy Brooks to take that role. I think it'd be neat if they surprised us and brought back like a, Lita or Trish Stratus or, somebody like that to be in charge. Just my opinion. Then we get Sting and Hardy backstage, sucking each other's cocks, basically. Then when James Storm comes out and shoots a pretty good promo in the ring, talking how he stood up to Kurt Angle and whatnot, faced him man-to-man. Then we get Kurt Angle, who had warned us he was going to Storm's hometown. And Kurt Angle's dressed up like a cowboy. He's sitting with some lady at the bar, and he ends up like spitting in her face, pissing her off, and it was pretty funny. Cowboy Angle. And then we get Shannon Moore talking. I mean, there was a lot of promos tonight, but I guess, kind of at that point where you need some promos to start building up the story of what's going to be going into Genesis. Hopefully next week we'll get a little better action. So Shannon Moore talking, he's not happy he's teamed with Anarchia, and he doesn't want to have to fight against a woman, which kind of set up the end of the match. So we get Shannon Moore and Anarchia versus Eric Young and ODB, and Anarchia slams ODB, which sends Shannon Moore storming off, and then EY and ODB get the win. Not a big surprise to that one, and it was fairly well done. They have to, that would be one. I mean, a lot of people might not want ODB and EY, the tag team, to actually succeed because it's more of a comedic thing. But overall, I think ODB is so good that they can have interesting matches that involve her. So, and it's another tag team in the ranks. Of course, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that two of them could beat Morgan and Crimson, which brings us into the next segment, the promo, Morgan and Crimson backstage talking, and it was great. It was a really strong promo. Crimson's mic work was better than I think I've ever heard him. Morgan was pumped up, and it just really made it feel like, that they were a legitimate tag team now. So they needed that, otherwise it kind of still was feeling like two guys that would rather be fighting against each other or tag teaming. So it was a really good promo. Then we get Cowboy Angle back at the bar, and he ends up beating up probably 4 or 5 of Storm's supposed buddies. I have to think that the reason they're able to do these segments like this, and like when Gunner was at the gym, I really think they're using OVW guys to take these beatings, and it's fun to watch. So I'm really liking some of these when they leave and go beat up a bunch of fucking dudes. I really thought that a couple of weeks ago, Gunner running through that gym and just kicking everybody's ass was pretty funny, and Angle lining them up and super kicking them one by one, which I think by the third one his leg was a little tired. It was pretty classic though, and just seeing him dressed up like a cowboy. Oh my goodness. Then we get the main event of the night. It's Hardy and Sting versus Bobby Roode and Bully Ray. Street fight. It was a fairly, long main event, which I enjoy having the main event match last a little longer than the rest, so that was good. They kept going to this split screen of so you could see, Hardy fighting against Roode and Bully Ray fighting against Sting, and it's like I wanted to like it because it was a little different, but at the same time it was kind of hard to watch because you kept wanting to follow the action on both of them. So I don't know, A for effort, I guess, but it made it a little hard to really follow what was going on. By the end of the match, they end up putting Roode through a table. The first table they were trying to use to do that was broke, so you can see Hardy telling Sting to buy him some time while he goes and gets another table. So ends up Hardy gets the pin on Bobby Roode, which makes, it builds up the rivalry. A lot of people are so pissed that Hardy's in the title hunt and he's getting this title shot at Genesis, but I guess feel free to answer in the comments, who do they have that Roode going over would have a bigger impact? I still really feel like they're using Jeff Hardy to build up Bobby Roode here, that Roode will get the win. So, I think most people would say Hardy is the biggest name they got, actually wrestling anyway, so I think it's the right way to go for business. Personally, it's hard to get over what Hardy did, and especially when you bleed TNA the way I do, somebody sabotaging their efforts is, pretty big fuck you, but at the same time, business is business, and I think with Hardy in that title hunt, business is a lot better. So, the pacing of the show overall was, good at times and bad at times. When they string along the 4 promos, segments, I think it should be like a match, then maybe 2. A match, then 2. A match, then 2. Or some variation on that. But just having like a match and then like 4 promos before your next match, you start to kind of, lose interest. No mention of the TV title tonight. Not that I don't feel, they could take a week off. It's been prominent, so it wasn't really too bad of a beat. Would have liked to have seen Austin Aries. They're having this Ion and Nice 2 out of 3. You would think they would be wanting to maybe bring out Aries to do commentary or something. So, just an idea, something I think that would make that seem a little more important. Overall, this was probably a C show. Not quite as good as last week's, but still, there was a lot of good here. A lot of good story being set up for further along the way, I think. We finally got the name of the tag team of Devon's kids, Team Double Trouble. I thought that was sounds pretty good. We'll see if they can actually wrestle at some point, I guess. So yeah, a C show. Feel free to subscribe if you've made it to this point. I do want to say thank you. And yeah, not my cup of tea doing just the audio, but better than sitting on my hands. So if you guys like the audio, I guess let me know. Feel free to hit me up with pretty much anything. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you sometime next week.